What's going on, everybody? It's Ricky with Video Homicide, back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about the 1972 film, The Case of the Bloody Iris. Now, when I first watched this film, or when I was first finding out about the movie, I thought that the iris part was referring to like the eyeball, but it's actually referring to this flower, which is named after, or there's this sex cult that's named after the iris, and there's this woman that escaped the cult, and she's being harassed and stalked by her ex-husband, and he's sort of led to be the killer. But before I get into all that, I'm not going to go into total plot mode here. I just want to give some of my favorite scenes and stuff. But to give you a bit of context, like, this movie's all about this apartment and all the murders that happen in and around the apartment, and even out on the streets and stuff like that. It's a whodunit. These Giallo films, they all follow the same formula. I feel like I say that in every video where I talk about Giallo flicks. They got the Scooby-Doo moment at the end, and this film is it's of course follows that formula. But I had a lot of fun with it because there's a really badass score. There's a lot of really good shots in the film. There's a lot of solid moments that sort of take you away from what's happening, but not too far. Like, there's this goofy cop, commissioner guy that's like collecting stamps, and he's got like a bubbling assistant or deputy, whatever the fuck you want to call him. They know they're dumb. Like, the one guy even says, like, do you need to be smart to be a firefighter or some shit like that? Really like that stuff. But to get into the murders of the film, I really liked, like, right off the bat, the film opens up, this woman goes into the apartment, into the elevator, and then she's murdered on the elevator. Like, I love how it starts off at the ground floor, it's packed, goes up, keeps getting empty, and then it's just this guy left and the girl, and she gets killed, gets stabbed to shit. And then this black woman comes out of her apartment to board the elevator and witnesses the body. And then she goes to work like nothing, goes to work. And it's weird because her work is basically like go to this weird club where there's all these sleazy businessmen all around this like ring or like center stage. And what she does is like offer these men, if they can survive 3 minutes in the ring with her, then they win a prize or they get to bang her or whatever it is. So it's the guy's goal to bang the chick, where it's the girl's goal to like kick his ass. And, she kicks the shit out of this one guy, and then away she goes back to her apartment, and she ends up, she gets in the apartment, none of the lights are working. This chick was smart, by the way, so none of the lights are working. She goes to the stove, she lights a match, and then lights the stove to give herself a sense of light, or source of light, and then she's, like, karate chopped in the neck, and then hog-tied, and then placed into the tub, and then the guy fills the tub with water, and she drowns, and that's the end of that woman. And now the apartment's vacant. So this other woman who's and by the way, the black chick that got hog-tied in the tub, I believe she was in Torso. And the new chick, Jennifer, who moves into the apartment with her roommate, she, I believe, was in Your Vice is a Locked Door and Only I Have the Key. Pretty sure she's on the poster of the film. That's why I recognized her. But she moves in with her roommate, starts experiencing some crazy stuff, like her ex-husband is lurking around, being a creep and all that kind of stuff. And all of her neighbors are very weird in one way or another. Like, there's this really old woman who like buys horror magazines and stuff like that, which I thought was cool. But what she's doing is giving them to her son, who's like this freakish guy who's been all burnt to stuff. And then you got another girl in the apartment next to her that's a young woman that lives with her older father, who's like a retired professor who plays the violin and stuff, and that plays a big key in the film. No spoilers, or spoiler alert, but I really liked how they played with this idea that she was being stalked by multiple people, it would seem. One thing about these Giallo films is a lot of times some of the people look and dress very similar. Like the stalker, like the Iris cult member guy, he kind of looked like the architect dude that Jennifer was sort of starting to date or whatever. There's a really cool like little bit of side story about this photographer guy who's Jennifer happens to be a model, so was the black chick, but he's almost like an Austin Powers kind of photographer. He's like, yes, give it to me, yes, right, look behind you, and all this kind of stuff. He's very eccentric kind of photographer, and she has a moment where she kind of freaks out and causes some of the lights to break and all that stuff. But there's a really good moment where Jennifer's roommate is walking down the street, and she's got like a pile of groceries on her hands, and she's walking along, and then the killer, we see him put on his golden gloves, because he's wearing golden gloves in this film, equipped with this badass knife, walks up to her, and she recognizes the killer. It's all POV, and he stabs her in the gut, and then she drops all of her stuff and is like, you know, kind of bleeding out. And it just so happens that the architect guy, who's being followed by the police as a suspect, you know, she walks up to him and he gets covered in blood, and then everyone's like, oh, he did it, and he's on the run from the police for the rest of the film pretty much. And I really liked that. I really thought it was cool, you know, getting stabbed right in the middle of daytime, packed city street. I don't know, I'm always into crazy stuff happening on the street. It kind of reminded me of I don't remember the name of the film. I think it might have actually been Hannibal, where the guy is like following the Hannibal Lecter, and then Hannibal Lecter stabs him, and then he just dies in the street. I don't know. It's just very cinematic to me. But moving into the end portion of the film, when we find out who the killer is, I don't know if I mentioned or not, but there's this the commissioner guy that's you know, obsessed with collecting stamps and all that stuff. He's constantly like a bubbling idiot in one way or another. And what I mean by that is, like, he'll be like, oh yeah, I need you to stay in this apartment. It's gonna like lure the killer, and then like she keeps being assaulted by the killer in her own apartment, and like nothing's being done about it. I don't know, I just thought it was hilarious. But if you're looking for a good, fun Giallo film that's very enjoyable, great story, great acting, great score, Case of the Bloody Iris. It is not about a bloody iris, although that would be amazing if it was. That's one thing about these Giallo flicks. They always fuck with the names of the film, and they make you think it's going to be about one thing or the other, and I don't know. It's always good stuff. I'm having a great time exploring my Italian, you know, cinema films, or my Italian cinema that is just so chock full of violence and gore and blood and tits and ass and just everything you want in a good slasher film, basically. And I remember when I first started getting into Giallo films, I owe a lot to people like Mood 616 and others, you know, putting me on to some of these movies. You know, it's just, I don't know. I'm having a good time. That's all I can say. I just want to keep watching these fucking movies all the time. So I'll probably watch A Blade in the Dark tomorrow, and we'll go from there. I'll be making videos as often as I can. So I appreciate everybody for watching. Definitely leave a 666 in the comments if you're interested. I still got some copies of The Filthy Ralph, Raise the Dead in the sticker pack, the zine collection. If you're interested in that, go to the video in my channel. Find out how you can get a copy of that delivered to your doorstep. And with that being said, adios.